Hey guys, I'm Staggle Beast. Until I play another episode one only Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1, so let's do this. Last episode, we saw some creepy shit.
Look, the cutest thing you'll see all day. Hamlet staged by children.
And she was, oh wait,
Look, the cutest thing you'll see all day. Hamlet staged by children.
Oh, so it has taken root.
What's taken root? As I recall, when we were growing up, this theatre didn't welcome kids.
You've forgotten, John.
her.
Come to the back entrance and I'll refresh your memory.
Welcome, sir.
You've got a lot to do, Sherlock.
Yeah, I do. Oh, wait. John, seriously? Wow, he's such a nerd.
Nancho's had to enforce the mark.
Okay, wait, identity. Political crisis, got it. Let's do this again.
Nancho's had to enforce.
Ugly Fetimas, lost bet, political crisis, uninvited deportation, fired after incident, somebody was sick, cheating groom. We described scandal from previous party. Vice Governor Calden was found by his wife to be presentatious in the company of young men.
That's what I like about this party. Bring me more dirt, Sherry. One more piece, and I can expose these base hedonists.
Do you know what was here before Nancho?
Brilliant. Manchester's family found Masson was owned by a cultist
I'll
architect.
pin them down with this scoop. Thank you, Sherlock.
Rumor has it. Let's go. Rumor has it. What's this? Looks like a blood handprint.
A person leaned against the doorframe. They left a smudged trail of blood. A bloody handprint on an armchair. The wounded person was here for some time. There appear to be no further traces leading to the altar.
You've got a lot to do, Sherlock. You've got a lot to do, Sherlock.
Wait a minute. I haven't checked this, have I?
The herbs here are Salvia divinorum. They have a slight hallucinogenic effect to emphasize the ceremony. This elaborate box must be for the ritual dagger. This oil has a slight aroma of flowers and olive. The sign reminds me of the astrological symbol for Mars.
You've got a lot to do, Sherlock.
I haven't went to this yet, looks like.
Handcrafted and luxurious cufflinks. There's also a note. For my Fabio, Manchos. The key is similar to the one that Vogel gave me. The key is similar to the one that Vogel gave me. The capital F on the key fob might refer to Fabio.
Fabio's quarters?
Would you recognize me in one of these? I suppose not.
I recognize your... Nerdist... Estorial. Anywhere.
You've got a lot to do, Sherlock.
Okay.
The pitcher is empty, but with puddles around it.
Oh,
Blood clots
blood.
are adhered to the sides of the drain.
So, Sherry, do you have any ideas about the case?
Perhaps. I think I can deduce what happened here.
There it is. Let's do this. Let's see what happened. Wait, you went to Fabio's room, right? And I gotta explain how the key's still in there. It's pretty foolish, though. This could have been where the blunt object was used. This is where the murder happened. Got it. This is where he stabbed it.
You're not even trying, Sherry. Concentrate.
Oh crap. Now it's better.
The bottle was used as a weapon during a scuffle in the smoking lounge. Then, to ensure no one would interrupt, the murderer locked the door. The unconscious body of the victim was moved to the altar room. Once the body was on the altar, the murderer thrust the dagger into the victim's heart. Symbols were drawn with the blood.
Interesting.
The wardrobe was used to hide the bloodied robe from anyone's eyes. The killer washed himself and took a clean robe from the hanger before leaving.
Are you all right? You're on the floor, not moving.
I think I know what happened here. I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Fabio was stabbed.
I see nothing gets past you, Werner. Yes, he was stabbed, but only after being knocked out in the next room and placed here. I do not yet know why.
So, who's responsible?
Well, it was one person working alone, and the murderer has now donned a robe. He or she could be hiding in plain sight. We have lost time, Werner, but your discretion may prove to be a benediction after all.
Mind Palace. Could be able to sort in the room. First items, the rituals to cover. Send position a key to unlock the door. I think it's just cover. If only, that's for sure. He helped me clean up this island and wrote an article that could make a difference. If only I had a publisher. Okay, let me do. Ooh. Is there something I mislook? Might be. Right evidence.
The murderer had to have access to this room. After the crime, he used his own key to lock the door. So, who had the key to the altar room?
I'm not sure. As a special guest, I was provided one by Mr. Manchios. He should be able to tell you of any others.
Where can I find him?
Most likely in the main hall, entertaining his guests. He has a mask with golden stars. You can't miss him. But please be discreet. We don't want to risk disturbing the revelry.
Okay.
I know you can untangle this mess.
So he has stars on this mask. Got it.
Kurt
five
Manchios,
swords.
I presume. I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you must be the one Werner told me about. What a sweet voice you have. It must belong to a handsome young man. Can I call you Sherlock?
As you wish, Mr. Manchios. Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What? Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear
Oops,
us.
sorry.
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio, and you had access to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Also, Matista and Santos.
Santos. Who is that?
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo. In his opinion, at least.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista. Do you have somewhere I might have a private conversation with them?
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere, and Santos... Oh, yes. He will be busy with the servants. Or the cook. What's that noise? What's going on?
What is going
Freeze, filth. You're under arrest.
on? Wait, the cops? What? Music playing, so hilarious.
Look at you. Committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand, and apologize for the inconvenience.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasized it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in his letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll...
Bigwig. Ah, my wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
You knew my brother?
You knew my mother?
Not personally, no. Not exactly. I was working on the paperwork for that case.
Would you happen to remember anything of the events?
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I remember seeing some notes. Why?
Perhaps we can negotiate. I could be quite useful.
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the others think they're the smartest here, thanks to you. Let me get this straight. Are you listening to me, lad?
I'm all ears.
Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Find the murderer. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them sing, give me something substantial.
And if Mr. Vogel is not a suspect?
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite degenerate away from here. If
Yeah.
you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, your brother won't save you from my bludgeon. Meanwhile, I'll be checking the archive for you. If anybody asks, then you're a consulting detective.
Let's make a start then, partner.
I'm glad we managed to get the scoop before the raid. Look, I found Werner.
Werner, are you all right?
Oh, yes, yes. Everything's fine. In fact, it's something of a family reunion. My brother spent quite some time in this place himself.
You should not be here. I told the police everything I knew, but they refused to let you go. They require proof to free you.
Ha! What did you expect? The mighty Sherlock Holmes swans in, tells the officers what to think, and the world obeys?
Of course not. Anyway, I struck a deal with the constable, and I've got a free hand in the investigation. I find proof to solve the case for him. He obtains files about my mother's death for me.
Well done. If one has the power or will and can act, then one must.
Yeah,
I
that's
wonder,
a good quote.
suppose you couldn't get the proof to your truth. Would you tell a lie to the guard that enabled my freedom, knowing my innocence? Would that not be just?
There are lines I will not cross, Werner. I will do my best to secure your release, but with proof, not deception.
Really?
How many white lies have you told on this island? Why not for me? Why not another?
That is absurd. I can resolve this without compromises. Do not give up hope.
I'm in a weird outfit. Can I... Good, I want to change my stupid little outfit.
I'm doing my part. You should do yours too, Holmes.
This area is restricted.
I forgot about this. Report number... Fully report for witness to satanic creature who claimed to have found the body.
Back on track to solve the case.
Palace.
This area is restricted.
Okay, where do I go from here? I go... This looks like a carpet type prison.
You'd better ask me a question I know how to answer.
Have you considered Mr. Santos Pinchetti as a suspect?
The snitch? Have you seen him? I mean, my breath could knock him down. What's so special about him?
As a major domo, he has keys that open all the rooms, including the one to the crime scene. Could have testified only to circumvent suspicion, don't you think? We need to question him.
Right. I'll send our men to fetch him. Stay here. They brought him in, Mr. Holmes. Here's the key to interrogation room number 7. Mr. Pinchetti didn't even resist, our men said.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where's he at? Evidence room, found it.
Good day. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you.
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of degenerates.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I'll bring it to the table.
All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring. That's not for bedtime reading. This ex libris belongs to Manchio's library.
More like...
The book
more
describes
like,
a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room.
more like satanic reading. That'll give you nightmares.
Her key to the altar room. A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings. A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner. Not the time for privacy. An emergency kit for boredom.
Oh, what's this? A book.
Werner's personal sketchbook.
Looks like a ring.
It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone. Thank you, officer.
It was assaulted in nearby room. Murder clean itself. So 1.
This area is restricted.
3.
Mr. Pinchetti, a pleasure to meet you. I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald.
I've already told him everything I know. I'm only a witness, sir. Everything's in my report.
And I've read it. You forgot to mention that you hold the keys to the room where Fabio was found. I need only to find if the crime was intentional.
But I need to return to my duties.
I doubt the house will fall without you, Mr.
Yep.
Pinchetti. Just be still for a few seconds.
Let's observe him. Inflamed skin. Step in blood. Wait. Step in blood? There's only one way you can step in blood. If you were in the crime scene, it's you or...
You are the major domo of a rich mansion, and you seem barely able to afford decent clothing. You hide under heavy makeup a skin disease that might be treated with more onerous but less harmful means. Do you have money troubles?
Do not have a lot of means.
Wow.
Pay is below what you might expect.
But you could easily change your job if your employer does not meet your elementary needs.
One can change his employer, that is true.
And the blood on your shoe, where does that come from?
I don't actually know. Perhaps from a guest?
Did you know Fabio?
Not personally. He was a frequent guest, and cleaning the mess after his performances was tedious. Mr. Manchios always had a role for him, and mainly the leading one. The parties were always, Fabio-centric?
And Matista? Was she as popular as her partner?
Don't tell her I said this, but I do not think so. Mr. Manchios hired her only because Fabio refused to work without her. Mr. Manchios used to see her as a worker. She was tasked with entertaining the guests, unlike Fabio, who could pick and choose.
Gets up and below, discovering voluminous blood splatter. He's one of my probably one of my biggest suspicious
Please let me out.
I recognize the key from the altar room among these. Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers. The new blood here.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boars again.
That voice. Vernus, friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy, after all.
I need to examine you first.
Makeup. Wash hands in a hurry. Could he be the killer? It was really expensive. Swords hair dye. I think he's maybe slicker for cleanliness, I think. There's makeup. Or his being. Yeah, like expensive shoes. Are you compensating for your age or something?
You are a little over the top with your use of makeup, Mr. Manchios. Is it so difficult for you to acknowledge your age?
Well, Sherlock, that's easy for you to say to an old man when you look as though you are barely 15.
But still, it shouldn't be an issue for someone of your status.
For people of my age, it isn't an issue, no. But the younger ones can be so afraid of wrinkles and grey flecks. I have to adapt.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
Logan testimony. First key.
I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else. I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else.
I've read the letter about your will. A harsh method of ridiculing Santos. I doubt he will use mustache wax when he wears no mustache to begin with.
Where did you get it? Is the slug here? Tell him I shouldn't have to provide for him. He's a grown man who shouldn't sit on his uncle's neck. He conceives himself as my only heir.
And who is he to you?
He's a leech on my aging body. He has only added problems to my life since the death of his mother.
I fail to see why you made him your major domo.
He needed to know his place, so I taught him. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else.
I've read this letter from Fabio. It had no addressee, but it was found in Mr. Vogel's pocket.
Werner? Strange. I didn't think the two of them corresponded.
I'm sure there is some explanation. Would you care to read it?
Call me superstitious, but I don't care to read a letter from a dead man. You'd better ask someone else.
Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures. I've no idea about that. That's not something I know much about. That's not something I know much about. I've no idea about that.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protege and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him. That's not something I know much about. You'd better ask someone else.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself.
Yeah, it would make sense.
The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
It would make too much sense.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
Red
What should I
herring.
call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
Adam and
All
Eve,
true laborers, I see.
the forbidden apple tree.
Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald. You are Matista, Fabio's friend.
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday. Just like Fabio.
His end was predictable.
Fabio knew the risks. Selling his body to degenerates who hid behind robes and masks, it could not end well.
That's only your distorted understanding of safety. Officers here, they wear robes and masks too. It's a dangerous lifestyle. But it's not as though we were given many other choices.
I'm just here to ask questions and find Fabio's murderer.
It will not bring Fabio back.
Look at that tattoo. So she's like a cultist. Probably a Satan lover, biting nails, nervous. So she I guess guys, let me guess, was she a slave at one point? She looks like probably punishes her for being a slave.
Fabio and yourself were slaves, am I correct? You have a similar branding on your body.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
Couldn't help but also notice fresh cuts upon your forearms.
The cuts helped me to forget my past. To cover the old wounds and hide them.
But
How did
create
you
new
escape?
ones.
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Cordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.
So this is pretty much like during the time of slavery. Interesting. So I hope you guys have videos. You guys next time. Bye.